Good morning. Goodness me. Just got all my things here. I've got my water, got my tea, got my vape. A huge shout out to all the many people who suggested using the coffee machine without a little coffee pod in it and just running it as a sort of shitty hot water generator, which it does adequately. You can get a cup of tea out of it. That's all I'm saying. At this point, I'm on survival instinct mode, you know? If it's tea and it's hot, it doesn't matter if it's high quality. At this point, I get out of bed, I need my tea. Like, that's an old person thing. You get up, the first thing on your mind is tea, or coffee if you're a coffee drinker. And I need my tea. I really need my tea in the mornings. You know you're into something when you look at this and you think, is that going to be enough for a week? It's quite a few tea bags. I mean, honestly, I could probably get away with just that many, but why take a chance? Oh. This is also how you know you're into vaping. When you bring 2 spare batteries, spare tank, and spare coils, and a solid box. This is all vape juice, just a box of vape juice racked up, like a huge rack of it, because I just can't take a chance. The idea of running out scares me so much that I just bring it all. Oh, and I got a neck pillow. You know, if you're a Dota fan, Sumail famously wears a neck pillow like this. A big one, it's quite a big one. Pretty much everywhere. I think it's more of a kind of lucky charm thing for him, or maybe when he's playing he rests his head from time to time. This thing is wank. Like, I got one at the airport and it's just, I can feel it's just a bunch of those foam beads you might use for packing. But when you try and sleep on it, it's just kind of, just a bit shit. I just, you know, but I feel like a real traveler when I have it. What else did I bring? A 10-foot Ethernet cable. This is a hat, right? I got this hat for $1 in Target, or was it Walmart? It was Walmart. It's my $1 hat. It's just a white hat. I was going out in it. This is when I was in Florida. I needed a hat, and my missus said, "Look, just get this one. It's only $1." I've had it for years. Look at this. It's not too bad for $1. And when you're bald and it's very sunny, you need a hat. But I haven't worn it yet because we haven't been outside much. I did go outside yesterday. I mean, I'm going outside, but we're not like outside. We did a lot of filming outside yesterday. We did some stuff at Key Arena with Peter, and that should be a funny sketch that we did. I feel like people are going to say I didn't do anything at TI this year, but we've done something every day. And what we're doing a lot, if you see a sketch or like a piece of content or something that features somebody, me, Ken, and Slacks were probably the ones that came up with like the idea. Like one of us, or all of us, or just 2 of us, or whatever, will have come up with the idea, written it, storyboarded it roughly in our minds, gone with the camera guys, shot it, checked with the editor. So we're sort of the part of the content team. So some of the content, the goofier content, is like that was us. So even if we're not in it, we're behind it, sort of thing. I think a lot of people worry about camera time only, but I love being the person who's like, you know, coming up with the ideas. I'm like, you know what would be a funny sketch with so and so? Like, I don't think what can I do. I just think what can I do with this guy? Like that would be funny. I like that because every single person here has like a background, a Dota history, a little personality. I think it's really funny when you use that. So we try to do that. So yeah, we went and did that. And I also went to the movies. I went to see Dunkirk. More on that in a second. And I'm going to talk about cold reading, which I said I'd do yesterday, and I watched the video and I fucking didn't say anything about it. So we went to see Dunkirk at a place in Seattle called the Cinerama, which is a nice cinema. I like it a lot. It has seats that recline. It's like being like you can just lean back and it just, you know, the seat reclines, which is okay. But I'd like it to be optional. I'd like there to be a little button, because otherwise every time I lean back my seat's like, whoa, and I prefer to sit up. It's better for your posture. And if you lean back too far, you just see the guy's head in front of you. They did the popcorn that they did was good. You can get I only like savory popcorn, like salty popcorn with butter on it. That's it. I don't like sweet popcorn, but you can get popcorn in there that has chocolate on it. People were going nuts for it. And you can get it's good cinema. It's good old-fashioned cinema, but it's got a beautiful big screen, and it was in the 70mm showing of Dunkirk, so it was like huge, and it was an excellent film. I heartily recommend it. I'm just gonna hold up this envelope for a second, okay? Whilst this envelope is being held in the air, for those of you who've seen Dunkirk, stay unmuted. If you haven't seen Dunkirk and you want to see it, just mute just for 10 seconds when I'm holding up this envelope, okay? So remember, if you haven't seen Dunkirk and you don't want a spoiler, just mute just while this envelope is up. What was up with that bit where the Spitfire is out of fuel and it flies clearly past Kenneth Branagh left to right, and you think, God, it's going to go crash. And then that dive bomber's coming in. The Spitfire, he manages to turn around, he manages to come back, and with no fuel, perfectly line up a shot to kill that plane at the right time. That was the only bit in the film that took me out of it, as being like, I'm so immersed in this. It's so realistic and so good. That bit was stupid, man. Slacks laughed. He was in the cinema behind me. He laughed. I turned around. I was giving him a look like, right? He thought I was turning around and giving him a look like, how dare you sully my people's finest hour. But I wasn't. I was like, what the fuck? Like that took me right out of the movie. Anyway, we'll stop talking about it. No, we weren't talking about you. We were talking about something else, yeah. Anyway, Dunkirk, very, very good movie. Well worth seeing. I give it 9 out of 10. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. I don't do that often. But I want to see it again. Like, I really loved it. It was beautifully shot. Like, this is the thing with Dunkirk. Just very briefly, not a spoiler. You don't see movies like this very often. The way it's shot, the way it's paced, the way everything about it is unique to Dunkirk, right? It's very, 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 it is the work of a director right at the top of his game who can structure things and film things exactly the way he wants, and he knows how to do it, and he does it well, and he doesn't fuck up any of it, apart from what I was talking about when the envelope was there. It's fantastic. So anyway, we're outside the cinema. We're waiting to go in. We're waiting for Conrad came as well, and we're waiting for his friend to turn up. Now this is a place called Cinerama. Cinerama. No doubting that's a cinema. It's a big building with Cinerama written on the side, and there's a booth, the classic box office booth, like a little square window with the little circular microphone and the little window thing that you put the money in. This lady walks up. She looks in at the girl, and she says, "Is this a movie theater? Is this a movie theater?" And the girl says, "Yes, ma'am, it is," she said. "And this is a list of the movies you're showing, like by times, but this ain't the movies that are on right now. This is ones that are going to be on, like, soon." She said, "Yes, ma'am. We're only showing Dunkirk at the moment." She goes, "Dunk and who? I don't know what that is. All right, thank you, honey. Thank you." And she walked off. And I thought, is this a movie theater? You couldn't put that together in your mind? The place is called Cinerama. It has a box office. It has a list there in the window right there with movie titles and times. And you're like, could be a movie theater, I guess. So when did you arrive on this planet? When are your people going to recall you from this expedition to report on your findings? Is this movie theater? Do you just take a chance? Just go up and say, "What time is the showing of Dunkirk?" "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. This is a car dealership. Can't you tell? It's the famous Nissan car dealership, Cinerama. And we've decided to name our cars after hit movies, and those times are actually prices." "Oh, well, don't I feel silly?" I really thought this was a movie theater. Fucking stupid. God bless you, America. Honestly, only in America. Only in America. Because I was with Slacks and Conrad. My jaw was on the floor. They were like, they just didn't seem to bother them. And I said, "Did you guys hear that?" And they were like, "Yeah." I was like, that's not endearing. That's fucking nuts. So I went up to the girl and I said, "Excuse me." I said, Did that lady ask you, is this a movie theater? She said, "Yeah." I said, "Does that happen often?" She goes, "Yeah." And I was like, even though it's called Cinerama and there's like a list of movies, she was nodding. The whole time I'm talking, she was like, yeah. I was like, thank you. Thank you for your service. God bless you, America. What a strange country. You can achieve so much and be so stupid at the same time. I love America. I love it. It's a place where you can walk up to someone and say, is this a movie theatre? And rather than go, you fucking think, you moron, of course it is. They say, yes ma'am, it is. That's sweet and endearing. That's actually heartwarming. But that's why you need British people to be the bad guys in movies. You'd need it. You Americans need it, because you know we're capable of badness. You guys are just too sweet. Is this a movie theater? I'm gonna crush your family, honey. I'm gonna burn them in an incinerator. Nope, doesn't work. I'm going to crush your family. I'm going to burn them alive. You need a British voice for that. Can't have no American. Howdy, bird. I'm gonna have to gun you down now. Join me. Together we can destroy the galaxy. Actually, James Earl Jones was American, but Darth Vader had a kind of a British thing going on. All the bad guys. Lord Vader. You know, all that stuff. All the Brits that worked for the Empire. Hey, Darth Vader. I totally agree with you and the dark side. We should kill them rebels, boy. Whoop! Nope, you need a Brit. Lord Vader, you may begin your assault. But if Darth Vader had been like, I'll kill you, it would have sucked. You don't believe it. There's something endearing about America. Brits, there's nothing. There's no soul there. We seem heartless, disconnected, evil. That's an interesting sound. Couldn't replicate it. Cold reading. So, this was back to when I worked on Psychic Private Eyes. I described the show on a previous episode, but now I will describe cold reading. First of all, number one, you don't need any information about the person before you do the cold reading. It's a myth to think that psychics always have preparation. They just go into an auditorium, huge crowd of people. Some of them will use it, but it's possible to do it without. Very possible. And the thing with psychics is they know their audience. Their audience is generally going to be working class women who've had not a great life, got some trauma in their lives. And that's why they've turned towards psychics and the supernatural. There are a number of reasons that people believe in the supernatural. By the way, this next segment is entirely my brain talking bollocks, but I will talk about it as if it's fact, okay? Because that's how conversations work. Your opinion matters, but this is mine. There are a lot of reasons that people believe in the supernatural. They're stupid. I mean that. Simple would be a better way of putting it. They have a simplistic view of the world. I remember one time I had a job and a woman believed that her house was haunted, and I said, describe to me why you think it's haunted. She goes, well, I was alone in house the other day and I heard this noise in the kitchen and I went in to see what it were, and there was a box of cereal had just fallen off the counter. Now you tell me, how was a box of cereal just fall off the counter by itself? I was like, doesn't matter. Could have been anything. Maybe when you put it down, you just put it near the edge. Slight breeze, mouse. And she was like, no, cause one time, this was about 6 months ago, I put a cup of tea down on the table, and when I went up to the loo, I was coming back downstairs and I heard it fall on the ground. I was like, again, maybe you didn't put it down properly. Could have been anything. Slight breeze. It's not enough to confirm to me that your house is haunted because of gravity and your inability to put things on a surface properly. Like, not enough. Not enough. But she wouldn't have it. Her worldview was that this was clearly a ghost. Very simple. Sweet girl, but very simple. So I think that's one reason people believe in the supernatural. Another is that they've had a terrible trauma or loss and they need comforting. Some people can't be comforted They need to have answers, they need to have reassurance, and they need to know for certain that this person is still alive somewhere and safe and sound in heaven or the afterlife or whatever you want to call it. Colin Fry and the spirit community that he was part of in the UK talked about spirit as like a spirit world, the afterlife. They don't refer to any specific deity because he himself, I believe, considered himself a Buddhist, possibly. Anyway, it was a load of bollocks. But basically, they believe, or they purport to believe, they stir the pot and they mythologize, if you like. They create the myth of spirit. And when you die, life goes over to the spirit world, and sometimes it needs help getting there. It's basically anything they can cull from movies and books and formulate into a kind of, like, they have symposiums and shit. They get together to discuss this as if it's real. None of them really admitting that what they're actually doing is coming up with a consistent narrative framework that they can all use, and if people hear consistency, they believe it. If you have 10 or 20 or 30 different people all preaching from the same handbook about how spirit works and how the spirit world works, and really they may as well have called it, let's get together and get our lies straight together. That's what they should have called any of the meetings that they've ever had. But they don't, because they're not in denial, they're just consummate liars. These are professional liars. That's all psychics are. So when they get together and they'll say, I have been meditating on the meaning of spirit, and they'll talk about it, and the others are all going, yeah, actually this lie works, let's use this. So anyway, cold reading, they know their audience, like I said, generally women, generally working class, generally less educated and desperate, okay? And when they go and look at the crowd, they say, they have in their mind a list of likely things, likely names for that demographic, likely ages for that demographic, likely issues and problems for that demographic, and the kind of general attitudes that you would expect from British working class people. So they'll stand on stage and they'll say, I'm getting, okay, no spirit, no, not you, no, yes, you, come forward, yes, you. Why is your beard so long? He has a beard now. He didn't have a beard then, it was a shorter beard, but he's grown it out, And no, spirit, no, the bearded spirit is not the spirit, yes, you, come forward. And while they're doing this shit, they're checking the audience to see someone go, like that, okay? Now I know this because I've seen this shit happen, and I know people who've been to these psychic readings, and they said to me, you don't know what it's like, because they talked about my aunt, and she had Lyme's disease or whatever, and I just couldn't believe it. They talked about it perfectly. They described a woman who was extremely bubbly. She loved her cats. She had heartbreak in her life. She always used to, you were her favorite. She had a nickname for you. What was it? And I'm like, that is anybody's nice, happy spinster aunt, okay? That's like a huge list of potential people. Single women tend to have cats, right? That's a statistical thing if you want to go down that road. That, a bubbly, happy girl, and you're her favorite. It's literally like someone's got a big set in their mind of pie charts, and it's like, okay, let's look at what the most probable thing is on this pie chart, and if that doesn't get a hit, we'll go to the second most probable, and then once they've done that pie chart, they'll go, it's like zooming down through layers and layers of probability. So they calculate very, very cleverly, based on their audience's makeup, what things are likely to happen. So someone will stand up and they'll say, she's had problems in the past, hasn't she, Pet? So there's a very famous video of Colin Fry doing this. It's not very famous, but I've seen it a lot anyway, and it's in certain sort of, things you'll see this kind of thing a lot. I shouldn't have said famous, it's not famous. This woman stands up, and if you look at this woman, the first word that pops into your head is drug addict. Okay? Anyone out there who's seen a drug addict, you can see straight away, that guy's a drug addict. Like, drugs takes a massive toll on people's bodies. I mean, I'm walking around Seattle, I see them constantly. You see someone, right, their arms are not just skinny, they're like skeletal, and they have lots of scars on their arms, their cheeks are hollow, their eyes are sunken and black circles and everything. They look like drug addicts. Drugs do that. Drugs have a consistent effect on the human body. This woman stands up, clearly a drug addict, And he says, it was a problem with drugs, wasn't it, sweetheart? And she bursts into tears. And everyone's like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, really? You're amazed that this guy looked at this woman who's talking about her dead daughter, and her daughter died of an overdose, and this woman is clearly a drug addict, and that's meant to be amazing. That's all cold reading is playing the numbers, and when you get it wrong, you say, no, not, his name's not Stephen. No, not Stephen. Simon. It was something more like Simon, or actually, so I'm getting a Simon over here, and they'll shift the focus, and they'll sort of take it in and out, and they'll find a name. They're just good at, they're like predators. They're predators who look for reactions, and they feed on reactions and body language more than anything else. So when people suddenly sit upright, they'll hone in and they'll start to focus, and when that person starts to go like this, because my sister went to one of these psychic readings with a friend of hers, and she saw like her friend reacted like this, and the guy picked on her immediately. And when my sister was listening to this guy talking, she was like, this is actually really generic and a load of bollocks. That's it, they just keep it generic. So that's what cold reading is. It's the ability to play the numbers with an audience and eventually narrow it down to the point where you can say something, you can get the information out of the person to figure out, to hone it down and find one small detail that isn't really even a detail. It's like horoscopes. Read any horoscope. Okay? There's a famous experiment where someone is asked to answer whether a bunch of questions, and then they give them this generic profile that they think describes them, and they read it like, oh yeah, that really describes me. But regardless of how you answer the questions, the profile is the same every time. And that's important, is that most people have the same kind of view of themselves. You know, you like to be in a group, but you also like time alone. It's stuff like that. It's like, that's a lot of people. That is a lot of people fit that bill. You know, enjoys being with friends, but also values solitude. It's like, this is the human experience. So I think that's what cold reading is, and it's very interesting. It's a very interesting world because it's a con. It's a disgusting, awful thing that is taking advantage of vulnerable people who've lost a loved one or recovering from tragedy. These guys are con artists. I hate them, and I absolutely hate them. So there you go. I think I just dribbled. It happens, you know, it's an old person thing. Man. I did a Triforce podcast yesterday. We recorded it. I recorded it right here in the hotel room, just on my laptop. I was on Discord with Sips and Lewis, and they wanted to know about my holiday in France, and they wanted to know about what it's, you know, TI and all the rest of it. It was good. It was really good. It was great to talk. I haven't seen them in ages. Like, I haven't talked to them in ages because my internet was down. We didn't record for like practically 3 weeks. I haven't recorded anything. We did a Triforce, not last week, but the week before, I think. So it's just kind of like, my channel is totally, you know, bare. My cupboard is bare because my internet was down for so long. I couldn't upload anything. It was my upload speed was like 15 to 20k at one point. It was like awful. Could barely browse the internet. But it's fixed now. But yeah, so if the YouTube channel has been a bit bare lately, and that's why. But obviously, coming to TI, going on holiday, you know, I mean, geez, it's like these 3 weeks again. But I went on holiday for a week, and now I'm here for 2 weeks. It's great. When I get back, it's school holidays, but it's actually going to be pretty sweet because the kids have got like a summer camp. Mrs. F is working from home a lot that month because they're doing train works at Waterloo. So it's like I'm going to be able to have so much time to catch up, and that feels good. It's been a good year. 2017 has been a really good year for me in a lot of ways. I'm very happy at the moment, and it's nice. I hope you're all happy out there as well. I know that people get very depressed. I get very depressed sometimes, but it's not depression. It's just you feel like nothing is going your way. You know, you get those periods in your life when it's just failure after failure or bad luck after bad luck, and it sucks, and you feel like there's no end to it. Believe me, friends, I've been there. Okay, I've been as low as possible. I had a job. You see this building behind me? This building behind me that you can see in shot actually makes me feel very uncomfortable because it reminds me of a time in my life when I was the saddest I've ever been. Okay, as an adult anyway. It really is remarkably similar to a building in a place called New Malden, which is in South London. And I worked for a company there called BAE Systems, which is a defense industry sort of programming and all the rest of it. And they make destroyers and just Google them. They're like a huge defense company in the UK. And that was my first big job out of university. I was a software engineer there for about 5-6 years. I was terrible at it. It was an awful company to work for. People I worked with were very nice. They were very smart people, very intelligent. And when you work with people who are very intelligent and young and intelligent as well, it can be a lot of fun because they're very funny, they're very smart, they're very, they're kind of interesting people. And they're all very different, So the people I worked with were really nice, but the job was grindingly, soul-crushingly awful. Every day I would turn up to a blank concrete slab like that. Took the train, it was like half an hour. When I'm on the train, I'm reading or I'm listening to music. I didn't have a smartphone back then, and smartphones weren't really a thing. It was like very early 2000s. And as I'm getting closer, the building is looming on the horizon. It's pretty flat around that part of London. You can just see it. So I'm just getting closer and closer. I'm just thinking, here goes the next 8.5 hours of my life. Just sat at this desk doing a job I hate. It was just awful. It was like driving towards your own. It was like riding in a train towards your own tombstone. That's what it felt like. And after the first couple of years, I was actually quite happy there. It was exciting. I was out of university. I was doing programming. Then I came to realize that how bad I was compared to my peers. These are guys, they'd all done mathematics. They were very, very, very smart people. And I wasn't good at it. So I started to get so depressed. I went to see a doctor about it, and they recommended I take a load of drugs, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I knew I needed to solve the problem in a practical way, because I knew I wasn't clinically depressed. I knew I was just seriously bummed out, because it wasn't like nothing could cheer me up. I was super happy when I wasn't at work. It was clearly one thing that was making me sad, and it was this job. So I was on a course one time, company course. It was like a programming course, and none of it was going in. It was so far over my head. And the other people on the team had all these intelligent questions, and they were clearly into it. And they read around their subject, and they studied it in their spare time, and they loved to be programmers, and they were genuinely interested in it and good at it. And I was just like, how long until this finishes? I hated it. So I stepped outside, and I called my wife, and this is the greatest thing she's ever done for me, apart from providing a womb for my seed, to put it in the most blunt and unpleasant way possible. I called her up and I said, I can't stand it. Is it okay if I quit and we'll just figure it out somehow? She said, yes, go for it. You feel so sad. I can't see you like this anymore, so go for it. So I went back in and I said, just going to be 10 more minutes. Called up my boss and said, I want to hand in my notice. Coming back to the office. I'll come in tomorrow, I'll hand in my notice, and I want to leave as soon as possible. And he was stunned. And I was like, why are you surprised? You must have seen how bad I was and how sad I was. He was like, no, I thought everything was fine. I was like, Jesus Christ. So I went back into the course, and I said to the guy, I've just resigned. I've handed in my notice, so I'm going to go. And he was stunned. Just, no one's ever done that. All my colleagues who were there just couldn't believe it. I go home, come in the next day, everyone's like, oh my God, Ted, you would not believe that guy's reaction. He was almost in tears. He was like, was the course that bad? I'm so sorry if I've been boring you. And everyone was like, no, it's fine. He just wanted to quit. But the guy was completely thrown by the fact that someone had basically walked into his lecture, sat there for a couple of hours, gone out and made a phone call and come back in and said, I've resigned. I don't want to be here anymore. Your course is so bad, I quit software engineering. So I went home, and I'd never felt so happy. My final day there was wonderful. I left that building, and I was sad to see the people I'd worked with, that I wasn't working with them anymore. But oh my God, it was a good feeling. It was like liberating. It was total freedom. I was away from the job that I hated, and I was about 26 years old, and I knew it was going to be tough. Didn't have anything lined up, no job lined up, nothing, but it felt so fucking good. So I would say, if you're feeling sad out there and you don't know what the solution is, have a look in your life at what makes you most unhappy and see if there's any chance that you can work towards doing something else. Get away from that thing, whatever it is, because what's the point in grinding along in something that you hate if there's an alternative out there? It was a risk. I took a risk. I needed Mrs. F. I needed to rely on her. Don't take a horrible gamble that results in you ending up on the streets of Seattle somewhere. By the way, we saw some homeless guys a couple of nights ago. We're coming back from the restaurant. There's Seattle is very hilly. Some of the hills are like this, and I'm not even exaggerating. And because of that, there were like, you'll be going up a hill and there'll be like a slope on the right that's flat that runs next to a building, so you have access to the building, because obviously the building, the floors are all still floors, but the pavement outside is like this, so you have a sort of path that comes off from the hill that's level, and people sleep in those because they're very narrow alleyways. So there were these two guys in sleeping bags lying down in one of these grimy looking sort of, I don't know, there's probably a word for them in the States, but one of these grimy looking little alleyway things. But they had laptops, and they were playing League of Legends. Like, we thought they were playing Dota for a second. We went back and we were looking, because we're further up the hill, so we can sort of look down on them. I said, these fucking guys have got laptops. How are they homeless? They've got laptops. But they did. They had two guys that had laptops who were playing League of Legends. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And you see quite a lot of the homeless guys here have, like, smartphones and stuff. And apparently, this is what people were saying, a lot of rich kids in America, or better off kids, will come here to make it on their own, but they don't get a job for whatever reason, and they're too proud, or it's some cultural thing where they want to still try and make it, so they've got the trappings of money, but they live on the street. Very strange. Also, Seattle rains so much. I don't know why you would choose to be homeless in Seattle, unless they give out free umbrellas. I don't know. Anyway, that's half an hour or so. I'll be back tomorrow. Would love to hear your thoughts on some of this stuff. I don't respond to comments on YouTube, but I do read some of them. Quite a few of them, I guess, and I don't mind feedback on Twitter and stuff like that. I just enjoy doing a blog. It's fun, or a vlog, or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Peace out.